Welcome to Campus Ministry Connection. I'm Tom Pryor alongside my host, Jade Christian. Joining us today is a St. Ambrose University Fighting Bee. She's part of the campus ministry, the thread that keeps it going over at SAU. Her name is Megan Grady, and Megan joins us as someone who's involved in so many things in terms of campus ministry, but most importantly, she's a peer campus minister on campus. I'll give Megan the opportunity to share what that is, but it's so important that we have peer campus ministers in ministry today because after this COVID lockdown, a lot of our leaders might have fallen away, or maybe the leaders don't know how to plan ministry events or reach out to other students because they're isolated in their dorm rooms. Well, talking to Megan today will help us to understand what can we do as peer campus ministers, as leaders trying to recruit others into our ministry. What can we do? Megan, I'll kick it off to you. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. So talking about my role, peer campus minister is kind of what it sounds like in the sense that it's a minister, someone that's involved in campus ministry, but who's also a student. So we live just as a student, and we try and get our fellow students in our residence halls to be more involved on campus in the church or in the activities we sponsor. So it's kind of just us getting the word out in a sense, but more on a student level, not like an adult coming in and trying to, it's just a more personal relationship, I guess, because we're friends, with everybody. We live in the residence halls. We're accessible, probably more so than someone who would work in the offices. They go home after a while, but we're there, all day, every day, 7 days a week. So I think that's what's really special about Ambrose is that we have this opportunity to not only get us as students involved and have that leadership role, but then also giving us the chance to just try and get the word out on a more peer-centered level.
Yeah, truly the hands and feet of Jesus. You guys are able to serve in your ministry in residence halls, which, just doesn't happen on all college campuses, especially with our public universities. Megan, tell me, how did you get to this role? Like, how did you step into peer campus minister?
Yeah, I think so. I know we always talk about in school about how you shouldn't give in to peer pressure and how that's not good for you sometimes. But I really did give into peer pressure in the sense that a lot of my friends, I'm a cross country and track athlete at Ambrose. So I had the rare experience of coming to campus and seeing my teammates say, hey, after our long run, we're going to head over to Mass, and just having that community. And then a lot of my teammates were peer campus ministers. So I saw what they did and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that. And they urged me to sign up. So that's kind of my path to that. But what I really found was really special was I've always grown up Catholic. I'm from like a strong Catholic family. And but coming to campus, you're kind of given that choice of whether you want to pursue your faith the same way, or if you want to make it your own, or if you just don't want to pursue it at all. And those are all fine choices. But I really came into my own when I came to campus because I saw people my age being really passionate about their faith. And it's not that my friends back home weren't, but I feel like when you're growing up and you're in the family, in your family, you're kind of pressured to do things their way and, follow them. But really, when I came to campus, I was like, oh, I guess I still will go to Mass, on Sunday. But then I've also incorporated things that I've never ever done, when I was younger, like the rosary and stuff like that. So I think that was like long answer, but just peer pressure and kind of finding that community within my teammates and other campus ministry members.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Transitioning into college life, especially for you, you said that you come from a very strong Catholic family. And did you go to Catholic school as well when you were in high school?
I did not, but it's funny that you ask that because I kind of see I went to public school. I'm from a really, really small town. Mm-hmm. So if you know anything about small towns, like there's usually maybe one or two churches, three, maybe three. I think we have three here, but the biggest one here is the Catholic Church. So I remember like Ash Wednesday, all of my classmates in the public school, the teachers, everybody would have ashes on their forehead, which I thought was really cool because it's like, okay, we're not a Catholic school, like, but we are, like, in a more personal sense. A lot of my teachers and my fellow students were Catholic, so I guess I kind of went to Catholic school. Like I remember like seeing like most of my class in Sunday school, so no, but yes, like, yeah.
Right. You were surrounded with a lot of Catholic friends, family, and you come from a small town. But that transition into college is important because now you learn, you talked a little bit about this before, but you are learning this new freedom in front of your faith. And now, like, we see what that has come to be now that you're a campus peer minister. But there is truly a chance for young people to make their faith their own and use that freedom that comes about when you graduate high school into college ministry. It's a whole new freedom that you are just now getting the chance to take on your own.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think coming to college, it also gave me, I've talked to a lot of, because I'm also like, I also helped with the freshman orientation and stuff in the past 2 years. So I've had a lot of conversations with freshmen about this, but I think me coming to campus and not knowing really anyone, not, new place, big city, and comparing to, my small town, I was really scared, and it's
terrifying.
It's so terrifying. And I hate to say that because I feel like incoming freshmen will be like, oh my gosh, it really is going to be everything I'm scared of. But I was so homesick, but I remember the one thing that, like, I was like, okay, the one thing that is so normal to me and is in my routine back home is going to church. So honestly, like, that really helped me get adjusted to campus. Was okay, I don't know what I'm doing Monday through Saturday, but Sunday, guess what? Catholic Mass is the same pretty much everywhere. So I think that was like super special to me. That sense of new sense of growing in my faith, but then also like anchoring myself back home at that place. Yeah.
Right. You're using what you've learned before. You're using the tradition of what you were raised in. And so you're getting that when you're taking this new journey, new direction of your own life. You're still using what you've been given before, which is your Catholic faith. And I think that's awesome. It is very terrifying. It's very paralyzing too, because especially when you're in a dorm hall and you are no longer living at home, you are surrounded by new friends you don't know yet. And learning how to live by yourself as a young 18-year-old student, teaching yourself how to eat meals and whatnot. But it is very terrifying. But I think it's really cool, especially on Catholic universities, that you guys have that similar, foundation of faith that you can go back on. You can invite each other to Mass. And from this foundation of faith comes like new friendships, new relationships. And you know that well, since you're on campus and really working alongside with these students, not even working, just living life.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's really special. That connection is really special.
Very special. Very special.
Megan, what it seems you're getting at is really the importance of fellowship. Not necessarily campus minister to student fellowship, but really peer fellowship, peer ministry. You had that, it seems like, in high school too, with the church back home, but now you found it at Ambrose as well. I think that's really the role of a peer campus minister, is to show that I can walk alongside you as a fellow student. I know many colleges and universities, many ministries have small groups, and they encourage students to lead the small groups, because seeing a student, a peer leader, excelling and living out their faith in a daily kind of life, that inspires other students to do it, thinking, I'm very much like Megan. I'd like to do that too. So that's something I know Jade and I encourage all campus ministries to do, is to give the students some of that control, give them some responsibilities so that they can be those leaders that other students will look up to when they enter the ministries. You mentioned it too, Megan, when you go back home, everything just seems normal again because there's Mass. Or when you got to campus, you were able to go on Sunday to Catholic Mass. And St. Ambrose has a very unique Mass. It's hosted on Wednesday nights. It's Mass and more. Mass, when weather is okay, it's out in the grotto outside under the stars.
Oh, that's beautiful.
9 p.m. It's beautiful. Being an SAU alum myself, I loved going to Mass and more. And then the more, of course, being some snacks afterward back in the chapel, if it's good too. So talk about Mass and more and why focusing on the sacraments is so important for a ministry. Because when we talk to students, they say because of COVID, the thing we miss the most, aside from communion with each other, is communion with our risen Lord at the Mass.
Yeah, Mass and more. So I think that might be my favorite thing that we do, just because it's another way to get involved in campus ministry, like, and meet people, especially with incoming freshmen and new students too. That's a lot. That's really, we recruit people, not recruit, but we ask people to come to that via word of mouth. It's via word of mouth. It's a lot of people saying, hey, why don't you, we're going to Mass at 9:15. Why don't you stop by, and come with us? And that's, I think it's more laid back. We have it, like you said, in the grotto. With COVID, it was so heartbreaking, especially because it's my senior year. We can't have it in the grotto when it's nice out. But we've been able to have it outside, just kind of more socially distanced, which I'm happy for, because it's Mass outside. I feel like that's such a rare thing that, at least in my lifetime, I've never really gotten to see before. But it comes with its challenges, especially like when it's windy and poor Father Tom's up there like chasing papers everywhere. We try to keep it anchored, but yeah, I think it's really, really cool that we're able to receive. We do have daily Mass, but with classes and stuff, it's hard to just get to those daily Masses, or even I'm student teaching right now, so I'm pretty much gone all day, but I can still make that 9:15 Mass. So I think it's really cool that we give college students on a college schedule the opportunity to receive Jesus twice in a week, which I think is cool.
Yes, access to the sacraments, so important on various campuses. I know for our Millikan ministry, we're hosting adoration and confession coming up. Many ministries do that, especially during this season of Lent. And access to the sacraments is so important because that's how students, especially young Catholic students, feel connected to our faith, because you grow up going to Mass, perhaps going to confession. You mentioned the rosary, some of the various sacramentals that we practice in our faith. It's so important that you do that at the college level too, because it kind of feels like home a little bit. It feels like what you're used to coming from home. And you mentioned before we even started this podcast, as we were emailing back and forth, that what you really enjoyed about coming to St. Ambrose is finding a bunch of students who share your faith. It's beneficial to have a community of believers, other people like you, because there are so many students who walk onto a campus and think, I don't know any other Catholics. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to fall away. But you really jumped right in and you found that there are so many Catholics. You just have to go and find them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think a lot of that is circumstantial, in a sense that I was on a team that also had a lot of Catholics on it. But I think it was also trying to branch out, because I had been, coming from a small town, small school, I was involved in a lot of things in high school, just a lot of activities and stuff. So I had a lot of different identities or identifiers, if you would say. But coming to college, I'm like, oh man, now I'm only a runner, which is not bad. And I was excited to dive, 100% into running, because I love running. It's my favorite thing to do. But I think also being like, okay, I'm a runner, but I'm still Catholic, and I can keep that identity and even dive deeper into that identity a little bit more and into my faith, just because I wasn't involved in 1,000 different things like I was in high school. I was able to focus on two, what I would say the most important things, that I am in my life, athletics, obviously less important there, but also my faith too. I think that was really special. I keep saying the word special. I wish I had a thesaurus. I don't. I struggle with this all the time. on our podcast when I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, think of another word, but I can't.
Once you find that word, it's kind of stuck with you
In the moment.
higher. Yeah.
Megan, you mentioned your podcast, and that's what I want to get to next. You're familiar with podcasts because you host one, and not just with anybody else in the campus ministry. You host one with Father Tom Hennon, the chaplain at St. Ambrose. How did you get interested in doing that? And what propelled you to wanting to share your faith story in a virtual platform?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, Father Tom's the best. So it started literally as a joke because I listen to podcasts all the time. And I was like, after Wednesday night mass, I was like, hey, you and I, that'd be really funny if we started a podcast. Like, I think that'd be so funny because we both love Star Wars and we talk about Star Wars. He loves it more than me, like definitely a lot more than me. So like, it's very uneven there, but like, I just was like, oh my gosh, I just think it'd be so funny. I've always wanted to start a podcast. I'm like, oh, LOL, what if we start a podcast? And it went on for a couple of weeks. We were just like, oh, what would it be? Like, what would the name be? And I'd ask my friends like, oh, what should our name of our podcast be? Like very just like sarcastic. And then one day Father Tom came to me and he was like, hey, like I talked to KLA, like we could actually do it. So then we started the Faith Awakens podcast. I want to say last February. And then COVID hit. So that was great. Sarcastic there, but so we were able to actually call in to the radio station and do it via Zoom. We just like this, we saw each other, but then we called on the phone. So then Dave Baker over at our radio station KLA could record it and upload it. So yeah, it's so fun. I think the biggest thing for me, and I've talked with Father Tom about this and he just rolls his eyes and laughs, but I used to be so intimidated by like all priests. I think it's just where I grew up. Like, it wasn't that the priests didn't like, have a relationship with my family or talk, but like, I just saw them. I literally saw them like they tell us in Sunday school as Jesus, as, I'm just very intimidated by that and like, in awe of them. And then I met Father Tom, like, oh, he's just another guy. Like, he's a nerd. He likes Star Wars, I don't have to be intimidated by him. It sounds really stupid. And he also thinks it's stupid that I was like, quote unquote, scared of priests. But now I just think it's important, especially within the Catholic faith. I think we have a lot of which I admire, we have a lot of our faith that's kind of structured. But I think that it's important to have that human relationship with priests, just like he's just like us, a big nerd. And I think humanizing him in a sense, that sounds weird, but in a sense that students can have like a one-on-one relationship where they're not just talking about their faith, they're talking about, things he's interested in, pop culture and stuff.
Right.
I think that helped us to, kind of get because he was, semi new when we started this podcast. I mean, he'd been there a couple of years, but I think this has really like opened him up to a lot of different students coming up to him now, talking about Star Wars and whatnot. And
I'm sure that truly does help your campus ministry, having an actual relationship with our campus priests. It does phenomenal for our students because as soon as something happens, they know where to go. As soon as they have questions arising, they know where to go because they have that relationship. And I think that's important. And even that encourages our young people to have a relationship with Jesus because Jesus wants to know everything. He wants to know about your pop culture and what your questions, your worries, your anxieties, how your day is going. Just having that relationship with that priest can even help us in a way realize that Jesus is also not that scary and not that intimidating as we might think. That's really cool though. Faith Awakens. You just had your year anniversary, right?
Yeah, we did. And we honestly we were in the studio and he was like, I think it's like been a year. And I was like, wait, no, I'm like, that's not right. And then it was just because I think COVID, the pandemic, has made everything go by so fast, but also so slow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's like, I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's super exciting. we really didn't think we'd, go a year, let alone more than that now. So yeah, it's exciting.
That is very exciting. Hopefully it continues on and helps your campus ministry. And it's called Faith Awakens. And I want to make sure we repeat that so our listeners can also tune in, our fellow podcast friends.
Yeah, the Faith Awakens. It's on all podcasting formats now, I think, which is exciting to see it out on Apple Podcasts. I have an iPhone, so it's exciting to see it on the queue there. My parents sometimes listen to it. When they come and visit me, I'll get in their car and they'll be listening to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't listen to myself talk. So I'm like,
I know.
Please just wait till I'm gone. Cause like I lived this episode. I know what I say. So we don't need to listen to it together.
Again, I am the same way. I have to really listen to it by myself. And then sometimes I'm just like, oh, I just can't listen to my voice.
Yeah. I'm like, ew. I'm like, do I sound like that? And it's not that bad, but like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm like, ew. I'm like, be quiet, Megan. Just let someone else talk. No.
Well, Megan, that's cool. Faith Awakens podcast. You said you're a senior, you're outgoing on to the next phase of your life. When you look back being a peer campus minister, obviously access to the sacraments, mass and more, you have a relationship now with a priest that when you came into college thought this is kind of like weird. I shouldn't even talk to my priest, let alone get to know him on this personal level. What advice would you give to other campus ministries out there? Maybe they're college students, maybe they're new campus ministers, maybe they're longtime campus ministers who just want to do something different on campus. What has worked for you and can help others?
Yeah, I think a big thing is collaborating with the students in campus ministry and also pulling maybe outside of campus ministry, maybe people that are thinking of joining but not. But I think the biggest thing is just keeping up, I guess, with the times in the sense. Like I think our Mass and More, though it's been going on for a really long time, I think it's really modern in the sense that, my grandma, I love her. She's a great Catholic woman, but she would never think of going to Mass at 9:15 on a Wednesday, So that's like our thing as I guess she would say young people, as our thing, college students, we're taking that as our own Mass. That's very unique. So I guess, I don't know if that makes sense, but things like that, where it's just something a college kid would want to do, or we have like a lot of like late night events like that, I think is really nice, especially like I said before, for kids working around the college student schedule and just appealing to them and asking them what they want, because we know what we kind of want. We know an idea of what we want. We just need, the right adults, or I guess I'm an adult now. I keep saying that. The right people that work in the offices and stuff to try and help us, put the ball in motion and get things done, So I think the biggest thing is collaborating with your students and finding out ideas that they want to share.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Megan, for joining us. Great work on the podcast over the past year.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that year anniversary, and best of luck to you in the future and the entire campus ministry department at St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa. So thanks for joining us alongside my co-host Jade. I'm Tom. Thank you to all the listeners for tuning in to Campus Ministry Connection. We'll see you next time.
See ya.